Hi, meet Derek. Derek is 35 years old and he works as a handyman at a multinational company.
Yo, D, I have a story to tell.
And let me tell it. I promise I'll do a good job at it. Anyway, back to my story. Derek works as a handyman at a multinational company and he's really hardworking. Nothing ever goes wrong. He fixes all the fixtures and fittings and there's never been any complaint. Problem is, Derek has never been appreciated. Nobody ever sits to think, how come everything works in this company? However, Derek has a very good friend within the company. He works in the sales and marketing. His name is Bill. Am I telling the story right?
So it's you that wants to tell it. So it's cool.
Fine. So Derek and Bill are really close. Now, the great thing about Derek is that he takes on other people's work, especially Bill's. He does take on Bill's work sometimes because he's really intelligent. However, he did study engineering, but the best job he could get as a multinational was the handyman, which was okay. He was okay with that. Like I said before, the only problem was that he was never really appreciated. So he would do Bill's work and then stop and help other people once in a while. And, like I said, nobody really appreciated Derek. Anyway, Derek is married to this beautiful woman, and that's what makes his day really. What he looks forward to every day is getting out of work and going to see his beautiful wife. They've been married for a few years and Derek absolutely loves her. Back to work. Anyway, one day, fast forward to 4 years later, the boss walks in and sees Derek at 10 p.m. fixing the light and fixing other things, and he wondered. So he called on to Derek and said, what are you doing here at this time? And Derek said, well, I'm usually at work till about 10-11 p.m. fixing everything. Haven't you ever wondered how nothing has ever gone wrong within the company? And the boss looked at him and thought, that's actually very true. You know what? See me in my office tomorrow morning. This became the beginning of Derek's journey to success. Finally, he had been noticed. Finally, he was going to be rewarded for all the hard work he had been doing. So the next morning, Derek dresses up in this amazing suit and walks into the boss's office. And the boss said, you were the same man I saw yesterday, yes? And Derek said, yes. Oh, I didn't realize you owned a suit. Anyway, so the boss made him an offer. He became the structural engineer at a multinational company. That was about 3 times his salary. Oh my goodness. Derek was over the moon. So he left the boss's office, signed the contract, and went round and told everybody, especially Bill, his best friend. So he told everyone. Oh, first of all, he called his wife on the phone and then he told his wife about it and she was over the moon. So that evening, she had said to him, oh, I'm going to dress in this beautiful red dress and we're going to go out to dinner. However, everybody wanted to celebrate with Derek. But do you think that deep down everybody was really happy for Derek? I don't know. Let's keep going. So, Bill insisted on taking Derek out for drinks. And then the other office workers as well. Everybody wanted to go. Because they're now colleagues, right? So Derek is no longer beneath them. He's now a colleague. So he called his wife and his wife joined them as well. And they married. They partied. They danced and they drank and ate, and it was beautiful. It was a great night. And Derek was overjoyed. He deserved it, right? He does everybody else's work. He does his own job. When everybody's long gone at 5 p.m., he's there till about 10-11. So he carried on with the hard work and with the same zeal and enthusiasm he had for work. Problem was, some of the friends he had the day before he became the structural engineer were no longer his friends. Because, like I said, did you really think everybody was happy for him? Did you think some people that were his boss wanted him to be their colleague? Because now they're at the same level and they couldn't really say much to him anymore, even though he helped them with everything. All I'm saying is, I guess be careful who you tell your secrets. Because your best friend in the morning could be your worst enemy by evening. I'm just saying. So 2 months went by and an enemy arose. someone got up and decided to be an enemy. Problem was, he never really told Derek he was his enemy. He smiled with him. He worked with him. He followed him everywhere. But he was an enemy. The real problem is, Derek never knew who it was. Because everybody seemed happy for him. Everybody actually smiled with him. Everybody celebrated him. But there was an enemy. So this enemy arose and started to watch Derek. Because, to bring Derek down, he had to know every move Derek made. So this enemy vowed to bring him down, take him back to status quo, where he was coming from. He was just a handyman. How dare you become a work colleague? You're just a handyman, and you will stay that way. That's Derek. So anyway, so the enemy watched, and gradually the enemy recruited other people that were seemingly happy, but deep down, obviously, they were not really friends. They were obviously hidden enemies, because if you're able to convince somebody to hate somebody else, then you were never really a friend in the first place, if that makes any sense, right? So the enemy watched and recruited other people to watch. Everywhere Derek went, he felt he was being watched. He was being gang-stalked. So every time he had to look over his shoulders, every single time, because it wasn't one person watching him anymore. It was so many people. So all the person had to do was say to other people, did you know that Derek is this? Oh, did you know that Derek is a drug dealer? Did you know that Derek is a horrible person? Did you know? Chinese whispers, smear campaign. The only person that wasn't privy to this information was Derek. But he knew something was off. Everyone smiled with him, but he felt like he was being watched. Everywhere he went, it felt like there were eyes on him. Until one day, Derek got an invitation out with the other work colleagues. Everybody wanted to take him out, so he was excited. It was great. Okay, he was going out for the evening, so he called his wife to let his wife know, right? After 2 glasses of wine, he felt very tipsy. A little too tipsy for red wine, if you know what I mean. So he felt really tipsy. His head felt really light. And he didn't understand what was going on. So he said to Bill, well, I have to go. And he left and went home. On getting home, his wife had gotten the memo. And she came to the door and said to him, so you deal drugs now, huh? I want you out of my life. And slammed the door. So he had to spend the night outside the house, just by the door. He was confused. What drugs? He's never taken drugs in his life. So he thought maybe his wife was confused about something, but the next day she wouldn't let him in. So he had to leave. And everywhere he went, somehow, other people had gotten the memo that he dealt drugs. And nobody wanted to help him. So he wondered what was going on. Like, I've never done drugs in my life. He was confused. So he got to work the next day. And the boss called him into his office and asked for him to take a drug test. So he did. And he tested positive for narcotics. That was shocking because he had never done drugs in his life. Ever. Anyway, he was fired. In that instant, he was fired. He had nowhere else to go. Nobody seemed to pick up his calls anymore. Nobody wanted to help him because somehow people had gotten some sort of memo that he was doing something wrong. So after spending the night in different places, he decided to take some of his money from his account and rent a small room just so his wife still has enough money, because he thought, okay, they had a misunderstanding, yes, and things will be sorted out really soon. But that never happened. After about 2 months, he got a letter in the mail. His wife asking for a divorce. And his wife had emptied out the checking account. So he had nothing. Absolutely nothing. So he started to struggle. Fast forward to about 2 weeks later, he went to Bill, his best friend from his former company, remember? And Bill comforted him. And Bill said to him, don't worry, if you need anybody, if you need anything from me, I'll be there to help you.
I mean, what are we friends for, right?
So anyway, he started to look for jobs. And he struggled. He didn't have a dime. So he tried to reach out to Bill, but every time he tried to reach out to Bill, he wasn't available. He never really got through to Bill. And the times he actually got through to Bill, Bill would say to him, well, I'm busy, I'll call you back. So he started to apply for jobs. He never got a job. Cleaning jobs. He didn't have a reference. Nobody would give him a reference because he was known as the drug addict. So he was applying for cleaning jobs, menial jobs. So one day, a year later, of absolute poverty, he suffered a lot. He was cleaning. He was cleaning out the bathroom. And a young lady sat at her desk and she was frustrated because her laptop would not work and she had a lot of work to do before morning and she didn't know what to do and she was frustrated and she was stressed out. And Derek walked up to her and helped her out. He fixed her laptop and he actually sat there and helped her with her work. So they got talking and she was surprised. How would the cleaning guy know how to fix a laptop or know anything about her work? She was an HR manager. So they got talking. And she realized he was actually educated and highly intelligent. He had just gone through a bad patch. So she said to him, I promise, I will help you. That sounded foreign to him because everybody that promised to help never did. Come the following week, she spoke to the boss about him and told the boss all the wonderful things about Derek. And Derek was offered the job. A year later, he became the engineer in that office. Thing is, his new position came with a house, it came with a car, and triple his former salary as a structural engineer. He was doing great. Now came the true success. And then the young lady asked him out. So a year later, he didn't only have a job, he had new love in his life. So, let's take a quick break to the former company and his best friend Bill. Bill had actually rose to the managerial position at the multinational company. He was doing amazing. Problem is, he couldn't pass on his work to Derek anymore, so he had to do all the work himself. His energy and his brain space could not take that. So, he had to turn to other people for help. So one day, one of the people he turned to for help offered him narcotics to boost his energy, right? And he took the first drug. It was great. He took the second one and he was hooked. However, his job was going great because now he had so much energy. Even the boss noticed it was doing great, amazing. Because he had extra energy. He was on drugs, right? He had to depend on it. The workload was too much for him. However, he made so much money that he was on top of the world. He had risen to the peak of his career. 2 weeks down the line, he walks into the office and there was a random drug test. And he tested positive for narcotics. Whew. He wasn't only fired, he was almost arrested. Don't feel bad for him. Because what you're missing is that the person behind Derek's problems was Bill. He set up Derek for a fall, his best friend. But he took a greater fall. It was the fall of the mighty. Because karma waited till he rose to the top to bring him right back down. Be careful what you do to others. Karma is a bitch. Namaste.